You walk into the kitchen after a long day and the house is quiet. No texts, no calls. You thought maybe they'd check in, maybe they'd notice you. You thought maybe someone would see all the effort, all the patience, all the giving. But there's nothing. And suddenly the silence hits harder than any argument ever could. That empty, echoing feeling, you know it, you felt it before. It's sharp, it's uncomfortable. And right now you're asking yourself, why does it hurt so much? Why does it feel like the whole world is ignoring you when really it's just one person or maybe even just one dynamic that keeps repeating in your life? By the end of this video, you're going to see why that silence is not your enemy. You're going to see why it's actually the most powerful tool you have and why chasing, no matter how tempting, only keeps you trapped. Here's the truth. The reason you feel desperate to reach out, to explain, to fix is because you're in the middle of a subtle trap. You're conditioned to believe that showing your absence, your dissatisfaction, or your boundaries will push people away, when in reality it's what they need to respect you. But I'll explain exactly how that works in a minute, and later I'll show you the one mindset shift that will make silence feel like strength instead of punishment. For now, just know this. Every time you text, call, or chase, you're lowering your own position without even realizing it. That's not a judgment, it's a fact. And you're about to understand why. Silence feels unbearable because it forces you to sit with yourself. It forces you to confront the longing, the fear, the disappointment. Most people run from it. They fill it with scrolling, talking, distracting, trying to make someone else respond so they can feel safe again. But when you stop, when you truly pause and let the quiet exist, you do something radical. You become a mirror. You show the other person what absence feels like. You give them the space to notice you, to recognize the energy they've been taking for granted. And here's the part most people miss. The quiet doesn't make you weak. It makes you visible in a way chasing never can. Chasing, on the other hand, is the subtle surrender of power. When you text too soon, when you call too often, when you apologize preemptively, you are telling the universe and telling them that your attention and your energy are disposable. And that's not true. You have value. You have boundaries. You have standards. The world doesn't need to constantly remind you of your worth. You do. And this is where most people get stuck, because society has trained you to believe that connection equals compliance. That if someone doesn't respond, you must act. But in reality, the exact opposite is true. Sitting still, holding your energy, respecting your own pace, that is how you raise your position. That is how you create the magnetic pull that no amount of chasing can replicate. Let me say it again, because it's simple but easy to forget. Chasing lowers your position. This is the spine line I want you to remember. Chasing lowers your position. Repeat it in your mind until it lands. Every moment you spend trying to pull someone toward you, you give away power you've already earned. And every moment you resist, every moment you allow the silence to exist without panic, you reclaim that power. It's not about revenge. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about understanding your energy, your boundaries, your rhythm. The reason silence feels hard is because it touches something primal in us, the part that wants approval, acceptance, and love on demand. And it's tempting to fill that void, to reach out, to explain, to justify. But here's what's hidden beneath all that discomfort. Silence gives you insight. Silence gives them insight. And silence sets the stage for something much deeper than words ever could. I'll show you later exactly how to use this to your advantage without ever stooping to chasing or begging. Think of it this way: if you are the strong one in a dynamic, the one who carries the emotional weight, the one who keeps everyone else afloat, silence is your reset button. It forces a shift, it forces clarity, it forces respect. And yes, it feels uncomfortable because change always does. Your instinct will tell you to fill it, to smooth it over, to make them like you again. But every time you resist, you send a quiet but undeniable message: I am not disposable. I will not chase, I will not shrink to make someone else comfortable. That's the essence of true power, and it's why the strong often feel empty. They are giving and giving until there is nothing left for themselves. Remember the spine line again, because this is where clarity begins. Casing lowers your position. You don't have to force it, fight it, or explain it. You simply hold your space, you allow the quiet, you feel the discomfort, and let it be your teacher instead of your enemy. And soon, you'll start to see why the very thing that feels like punishment is actually a tool for realignment. You'll start to understand that silence is not rejection, it's revelation. And right here, right in this moment, is where most people stop. They panic, they reach, they explain, they chase. But you are learning something different. You are learning that discomfort can be your compass, that absence can be your power, that holding your energy is the single strongest message you can send. And in the next part, I'll show you how to keep your standards, protect your boundaries, and let the silence work in your favor, whether they come back or stay away. When you step back, something subtle but profound begins to happen. It's not magic, it's psychology. Your absence interrupts a familiar pattern, a loop that has been running for weeks, months, or even years. They are used to your energy being available, your attention being constant, your patience holding everything together. And when that shifts, their brain notices. Suddenly, the predictability disappears. The dynamic that kept them comfortable, the dynamic that allowed them to take without giving, vanishes. They start to feel a void, not in a manipulative way, but because you have introduced space. Space makes them process. Space makes them reflect. And for the first time, they see you as separate, as real, as someone whose presence is valuable, not guaranteed. This is where the spine line becomes essential. Chasing lowers your position. When you stop reaching, when you hold your energy instead of spilling it, your position rises. The power dynamic shifts quietly, invisibly, but unmistakably. Their mind starts to notice things they didn't see before. The small kindnesses, the ways you held everything together, the fact that your absence is not a threat, but a reminder that you matter. Suddenly, the subtle ways they took for granted start to surface. And that's where your strength shows, not through words, not through explanations, but through restraint, through clarity, through silence that communicates more than any text ever could. But stepping back isn't easy. The urge to pick up the phone, to explain, to fix, to soothe the discomfort, this is primal. It's your brain's way of seeking certainty, control, and connection. And it's strong. It shows up at night when you're alone, when your mind wanders, when your heart reminds you that someone's absence feels like a threat. This is where practical steps matter. Start small. Create a buffer. Wait at least an hour, then 2, before responding to impulses. Replace the urge with a single, grounding action. Write in a journal, step outside, stretch, or take 3 deep breaths while repeating silently. Chasing lowers your position. Say it slowly. Let it sink into your body. Let it act as a reminder that power comes from restraint, not reaction. Another method is to literally put the phone out of reach, out of arm's length, out of your immediate sight, out of your habitual loop. Every time the urge rises, acknowledge it and redirect it elsewhere. Focus on what is yours, not what is theirs. Silence is hard because it touches the part of you that wants immediate resolution, immediate validation. But that discomfort is the signal that you are reclaiming your energy. The spine line again, chasing lowers your position. Repeat it when you feel panic, repeat it when you feel temptation, and repeat it when doubt creeps in. It's not just a phrase, it's a framework for how to act in alignment with self-respect, confidence, and emotional intelligence. While you are holding space, what you focus on matters. Stop thinking about what they're doing, who they're talking to, or when they'll come back. Stop trying to predict or control their choices. Instead, return to yourself. Fill your day with actions that nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Move your body in ways that feel alive. Walk, run, stretch, dance, lift. Engage your mind in work, study, creativity. Spend time with people who see you fully, not just when it's convenient for them. Rebuild the emotional bank account that has been depleted by giving too much, expecting too little. The spine line again. Chasing lowers your position. Focusing on yourself is the opposite of chasing. It's the act of raising your position without fighting, without forcing, without fear. When you step into this space consistently, a change begins to occur in their mind. They start noticing patterns they ignored. They feel the difference between access and absence. Their brain registers your energy as scarce, significant, and consequential. This doesn't guarantee a particular outcome. It doesn't mean they will return exactly as you want, but it does guarantee that you are no longer invisible in your own story. You are no longer shrinking to accommodate someone else's discomfort. You are claiming the fundamental right to be seen, respected, and treated with care. And that shift is profound, even if it's invisible for now. Handling the urge to text or call becomes less about resisting and more about redirecting. Each moment you resist is a moment you reinforce your boundaries. Each breath you take instead of reacting is a lesson in self-mastery. Every journal entry, every step taken for yourself, every smile cultivated without external validation acts as proof that you can survive and even thrive in this discomfort. Chasing lowers your position. Your actions or your restraint are the signals that raise it. And as you practice this daily, a new rhythm begins to form. You no longer wake up consumed by what might happen. You begin to measure your value by your choices, not their responses. You start to see that life doesn't demand you explain, justify, or prove your worth. The spine line again, one more time. Chasing lowers your position. This simple principle guides every decision, every impulse, every interaction. It is quiet power in motion, strength made visible through patience and clarity. Your focus shifts, your energy consolidates. You step into life fully aware that every choice, every act of restraint, every focus on self is a signal not of distance, not of coldness, but of dignity, self-respect, and clarity. And that clarity begins to ripple outward, subtly altering dynamics without confrontation, without drama, without begging. You start to notice that when you stop reaching the world, and the people in it begin to shift around you. When they come back, you don't rush. You don't fall into old patterns. You meet them with boundaries that protect your energy, with a pace that feels natural to you, and with standards that reflect the respect you know you deserve. This is not punishment. It's clarity. It's showing them that your time, your attention, and your presence are not automatic. They are earned. You can engage, you can reconnect, but you do it on your terms. You allow warmth without sacrificing strength. You listen without dissolving yourself. You welcome without overextending. And in every interaction, remember the spine line chasing lowers your position. When you step into reconnection with calm, measured presence, your position is elevated, not diminished. If they don't come back, you hold your dignity. You close the chapter without bitterness. You acknowledge the reality without creating unnecessary stories or blame. Absence has revealed the truth, and the truth is always cleaner than pretending, chasing, or bargaining for attention. You let go with respect for yourself, knowing that moving forward is not forgetting, but reclaiming. Every moment spent on them when they are gone is a moment taken from yourself. So you turn inward, you turn forward, and you focus on what is alive, real, and nourishing. You give yourself the closure they couldn't provide, and in that act, you find peace. Silence, either way, always tells the truth. If they return, it shows the value of your presence. If they don't, it reveals the limits of their willingness and their readiness to meet you where you are. You don't need to interpret, manipulate, or guess. You simply observe and respond from a place of power. And in that observation, you see patterns clearly. You see who respects energy, who honors boundaries, and who moves at a pace that aligns with mutual care. Silence is not absence. Silence is revelation. Every day, you return to yourself. You rebuild what was drained. You invest in your body, your mind, and your spirit. You move, create, laugh, and love in ways that do not depend on anyone else's response. You notice the small wins, the small joys, the moments that are fully yours. You practice patience with yourself as much as you practice patience with others. And every time the urge to reach out rises, you remember the spine line again. Chasing lowers your position. You breathe, you redirect, you act with intention. You choose clarity over chaos, presence over desperation, strength over compulsion. Let's summarize quickly because the lesson is simple. First, silence forces reflection, reveals truth, and resets dynamics. Second, chasing never raises your position, it lowers it. Stepping back allows you to reclaim energy, focus on yourself, and see patterns clearly. Fourth, when they return, you engage on your terms with boundaries, pace, and standards. Fifth, if they don't return, you give yourself closure and move forward with dignity. One clear action step is to start today with a single, intentional pause the next time the urge to text, call, or chase arises. Take a full breath, put your phone aside, and repeat silently. Chasing lowers your position. Let it anchor your decision, your energy, and your response. You are not powerless in silence. You are not invisible when you step back. You are not weak when you hold your standards. Strength does not mean constant giving. Strength means presence, awareness, and the courage to hold your space. Calm, self-respect, and quiet power are the tools that transform discomfort into insight, absence into revelation, and waiting into clarity. Your energy is yours. Your attention is yours. Your life is yours. Step back with confidence. Step forward with dignity. Hold your spine straight. Hold your value high. And when you are ready, watch the next video to learn how to maintain this power while building relationships that truly honor you.